excuse me. Welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode number 64. Before I talk about the episodes, you're probably wondering, Nick, where is your sand hat? In the dryer. It got wet on the way home from work. Simple as that. This one I'm discussing the last 3 episodes of Kamen Rider Kuuga. Now, I was going to talk about the special chapter. From what I read, it included the bonus, the episode 50 good job. It wasn't there, so I'm not going to discuss it. Simply put, these last 3 episodes simply this. 47-48 is a 2-parter where you have Yusuke, where he's, debating, of what he's going to do. Because basically they're wrapping up the series at this point in time, so they're pretty much, in a way, having him say goodbye to, everybody. Pretty much, it's as soon as he beats the main bad guy, he's going on an adventure. He's leaving. As soon as he finishes up his little task, you're this one guy. And he does. And they fight in episode 48. And it's basically pretty much a bloody brawl. Yeah, lots of fist draw. And supposedly Duggar dies in episode 48, though he does come back later on in a different series. And then Yusuke leaves. And here's the thing. He is absent for almost the entirety of episode 49. You don't see him in episode 49 until, the last, 5 minutes of the episode. He's absent for, almost the entire episode. Because mostly the episode goes on Engine, basically the detective, who has been with the main character since the start of the series. Where he's visiting everybody. Apparently there's also a 3-month time skip since episode 48. Pretty much how you can look at it is that 48 is the conclusion to the series. 49 is sort of the epilogue. Excuse me. That's most of what this episode serves as, just catch everybody up. We do see the teacher was pregnant early on in the series. I think they found that she was pregnant in episode 29. And apparently, she gave birth already, got a cute baby. And they kind of named she named the baby after Yusuke, which is quite nice. And after checking everybody, then we see Yusuke at the last bit of the episode, because you're wondering, where's the start of the series? Well, he's on a beach someplace. Don't know where this beach is. He's basically joking for some kids, entertaining them, and he walks off. I should point out, though, he has no transportation. He probably doesn't have any money. He's just traveling about. How long is he traveling for? I don't know. And sadly, when you see him walk off in the credits, that's the last time you see this actor in Kamen Rider. The reason? Because this actor has never returned to Kamen Rider. I don't know the reason for it. Now you're probably thinking, wait, according to some info I read, he does show up in other series. Yes, transformed, but not untransformed. I have read that he actually enjoyed his time in Kamen Rider, but as for why he's never come back, it's a complete mystery to me. All the rest of the Kamen Riders, doesn't matter who it is, they all came back at some point. Not this guy. He is by far the first and only Kamen Rider actor to never come back after his series wraps up. Well, everyone else has, but he has never come back. Nope. And as in the case of the main series itself, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The problem is basically I was going to do this later if I had to, but that's the reason for it. But in the case of my final thoughts of the series, I did find this interesting though. Now when I read from casts from other Kamen Rider series from the Heisei era, and the Royal Air Base continues too, where a lot of the time we have these other Kamen Riders in the same series. Not from different series per se. Sometimes Kamen Rider series, alongside the main Kamen Rider, we will have 4 or 5 Kamen Riders throughout the entire series. And apparently it started not with this one. Kuuga didn't start with this one. It started with Successful Agato. That's where it started with. And that's been pretty much the style basically moving forward. Now, you're probably thinking, why didn't it start with Kuuga, you might ask? Well, from what I've read, apparently this series was being worked on while the original creator was still alive, despite the fact that the series was released 2 years after his death. Apparently he worked very closely with the series, and that's the reason we got a lot of tributes to the original Kamen Rider series as one. Like having Kuuga get mentioned. There's also a road named after him, a school named after Tish Tabata. The Deadly Rider himself, basically his monster form is a nod to Kamen Rider #1, which is so awesome. The fact the first two monsters were a nod to the original monsters from the original Kamen Rider series, where it was just a spider and a bat. Okay. I love that aspect. And it's interesting, though, that of all the monsters appeared throughout this entire series, some of whom don't really, they're just there. They're just waiting for their turn to basically go kill humans. That's pretty much what, now, as for the Kamen Rider himself, he is great. I think he does an absolute great job. He seems like he's enjoying his time on the series. The supporting cast. His sister is a really good character. Very lovely woman from what I can tell. I don't know how to tell what she looks like nowadays, but at the time she looked like she was a pretty lovely woman. Here's the strange thing though. Kuuga didn't have a love interest. Nope. And he's also the first Kamen Rider I've come across so far who, probably the first since Amazon, who is not a cyborg. Yes, that was the thing with the show era Kamen Riders. Pretty much almost all were all cyborgs. This one was the first one. Nope, not a cyborg. This one was basically the best way to describe Kuuga. He's sort of like a mutant. That's mostly put what he is. Now, I enjoy the suit. I think the suit looked really good on him. Excuse me. I also love the aspect of him changing colors. I don't know if this is the case with the Kamen Rider's Heisei here. I don't know. Because the only Heisei series I watched after this one is a couple episodes of Kamen Rider Decade. That one mostly is him basically switching to various different Kamen Rider forms. I, of course, did not watch this other Kamen Rider series. The only reason I watched those two episodes of Decade was because they crossed it with Shurikenja. It's the only reason why I did it. The opening theme song is fantastic. They do change it halfway through the series, where they mention, Distant Planet, History's Rewritten, and then of course the other one's like Legends Reborn. Yes. I like the fact that every character got a story plot thread. Except for Gene. He's probably the one who doesn't get much to do in the series. And here's the strange thing though about this guy. He's probably the only character in the whole series who speaks both Japanese and English. He's the only one who does it. Eureka, she pretty much gets a lot of development in the course of the series. Though her character is pretty much, her high point was episode 46 with her plot thread, her and her son. Her mom got virtually almost nothing to do except babysit her son. Inogen, basically, great character. I felt as if this guy got a lot of development. Aside from the Kamen Rider, he's probably the one character who's got the most amount of development who's not the main Kamen Rider. He got tons of development. I would say the female characters, I would probably say Sakawa got basically more development than the main character sister. She got a good amount of development. No denying that. But I would say that the male lead's best friend, I'd say she got tons of development over the course of the series. And I also like the fact that toward the end of the second arc, they actually had the task force doing something. Because a lot of the time, it's just Engine and the Kamen Rider basically just take care of all the monsters. Yeah, and basically they had the task force get more involved, which I appreciated that. That was really cool of an aspect where the police is really much doing really well working with the Kamen Rider. And this is interesting though about this particular series. The words Kamen Rider are never mentioned in 49 episodes. Never. Kuuga is brought up several times. And here's the strange thing though. The public never refers to him as Kuuga. Never. The monsters do. Yusuke himself refers himself as Kuuga. But here's the thing. He never asked the police officers to call him Kuuga. They always call him number 4, or when he's in wife form, they call him number 2. Engine basically the correct him like that. That's number 4 is wife form. Yeah. The main villain of the series, the Kuuga, I think they're interesting. They're interesting characters. I like the fact a lot of them basically wear normal street clothes. I love their monster forms. They're all really unique. The problem is a lot of them basically just there. They're just introduced, and they're basically just sitting on the sideline, like, okay, just waiting for their turn. And then when they get now, there's only like one monster I could think of when he's sent out in the field, first time ever, and he's killed halfway through the episode. And that was the second to last monster they actually had of the entire series, because mostly, with the exception of Gorma, who was the bat monster, mostly put a lot of the time when they have these monsters show up, usually it's in the sidelines, and they went through several groups. And did you know of all the monsters, you know 2 of them were not killed by Kamen Rider? Actually, 3 weren't. The one seen on screen. Gorman was killed in the main villain in the series. The one as far as B9, he was actually killed by the police. Yeah, the police officers killed him. And he was killed by 2 police officers who were pretty much recurring characters. And Engine pretty much killed B1, who surprisingly never had a monster form. Nope. And here's the weird thing about this character. She first shows up in episode 5. And here's the weird thing. A lot of the time, this character does virtually nothing. She's pretty much a judge. She just basically is the one who stands out, oh, it's your turn, your turn, your turn. They do change up, basically, partway through the series, how when do the counter stuff. First, they give the monsters a bracelet. Like, every time you get killed, you flip over a thing in their plate. And, of course, also, they have this sort of pad. They also had, too, with when they write down, like, lines, basically the tally marks on people they killed. And then later on, they switched up with an old-fashioned calculator. We had these little things you push across, which, okay, that's interesting. One thing I didn't like about that guy who basically, we never really got a clear view of his face, because his face was always covered. Do not know the reason for it. They never give a reason for it at all. And here's the weird thing about the main villain. Like, he first shows up in episode 1, and then he's never seen again until episode 38, where he's appeared sporadically just there, just building the finale of the series. That's most of what he's there for. And let's see, what else? He doesn't do a lot of anything. I mean, the first big thing he does that you see him do on screen was they killed off Gorma. Yes, and also, he had this thing where he was killing off members of his own, he was killing his comrades. They never stated the reason for it. They stated by the end of the series, he killed, out of the over 200 revived, he killed 154 of these people. Excuse me. Oddly enough, they never stated the reason for it. It just they did. Maybe the reason why that they decided to have him do this, and this is my personal theory, I think because at the time when they basically brought this character back, they're like, yeah, we don't have many episodes left, and we can't just shoot at any more of these monsters. Like, let's just basically use the characters we have on hand, just basically have their monster forms, and then deal with the main villain. That's most of what we have here. And it's kind of basically just killing off these other monsters. And here's the strange thing, though, about the series. If you don't read the manga, yes, the manga, where he gets like 14 and then skips like over 20, like, what? Yeah, there's a reason for that. Because there's a lot of creatures killed off screen. On screen, he probably killed about 20 or 30 of these things. At one point, I think it was toward the end of the series, it was suggested by, I think it was Engine or Sakawa, where that Kuuga killed over 40 of these creatures. Yeah, and it's interesting, though, the fact that we see a lot of this good aspect. The one weakness I have with this series is the CGI. It didn't look too good. Also, another problem I have with this series is some of the camera work they have for it. Like when they show like the fight sequences, like the police station, that look really good. By the way, the police station shown here, I don't know if this is the actual police station for the Tokyo Police Department. I don't know. But the only other series I've seen this particular building pop up in is Case Close. This is the first time I've ever seen this building in live action. First series I've ever seen it in. We had to see the damn thing. It's an interesting looking building. And I thought it was really cool. And I also like the fact that we got more. Excuse me, we actually had these sort of like advanced technology. Though watching the series, like, wow, flip phones. There's actually flip smartphones, but the ones that had, wow, it's like some of the technology, like, looking at it from a 2022 perspective, it's very much outdated technology. That's most of the best way to describe it. The computers are pretty much outdated tech by this current year's standard, because a lot of people are using laptops. Not many people nowadays are using desktops anymore. It's very rarely seen. Unless you work in an office, a lot of the time people use laptops because it's more convenient to do that. But overall, really good series. Okay, so that's episode review. Next episode is going to be Super Sentai. I was basically going to do JoJo, but I actually wanted to do this series after I get stronger, so that's why I decided to do this now. Okay? But I will be doing JoJo soon. When I get to halfway point, okay? Next video. Bye.